Hello and welcome to Big Picture. I am Vishal Dahiya, and today in our series of Rebuilding Kerala, we'll be taking up the issue of floods and dam management. Dams are considered vital for economic growth and generating energy. Over the years, they have played a significant role in ensuring rapid and sustained agriculture and rural growth. Substantial resources have gone into building dams and related infrastructure. India has more than 5,000 large dams. 75% of them are more than 25-year-old, and about 164 are more than 100 years old. A poorly maintained, unsafe dam can endanger both human life and environment. This has been proved in no less than 36 incidents when dams have failed in the past. In June this year, the central government has approved a proposal to introduce the Dam Safety Bill 2018 that aims to develop uniform countrywide procedures to ensure the safety of dams. Kerala, which is witnessing its worst floods since 1924, has 53 large dams. As the rain poured unabated and the rivers overflowed, at least 35 of these dams were thrown open, releasing water onto the already flooded areas downstream, doubling the impact of the deluge. So, is Kerala merely the latest victim of poor dam management? And if yes, then what are the reasons and ways to tackle the challenges in ensuring the safety of our dams? Let's look at all these issues in the next half an hour. And joining me on the panel today are Mr. R.L. Negi, Head of Projects in Lori Hydroelectric Projects in SJVN. Then we have with us Dr. P.S.N. Rao, Director of School of Planning and Architecture. And we also have with us Mr. N.K. Mathur, Member DNR of Central Water Commission. We are also joined by Professor Arun Kansal, the Dean of Terry School of Advanced Studies on the Skype. We'll go to him as well. But let me begin with Dr. Rao specifically. Dr. Rao, if you look at the situation in Kerala and the way the floods have wreaked havoc in the state and the way in the dams have also been operated during this entire period, is there a sort of a correlation between the way the dams were managed during this period and before this as well, and the extent of the flood which has been experienced by Kerala?
Yeah, I'm not fully aware of the specifics, but then I can certainly generalize from what I've been seeing on the television over the last couple of days. I think there is a very strong correlation, particularly in the state of Kerala, where we have what is called an urban-rural continuum. Where the city ends and where the village begins is really very difficult to decipher. So you have a linear state, and you have an urban-rural continuum, and you have too much of water. And when you have too much of water, dams can hold only that much and not more than that. So there is no way but for the authorities concerned to release the water from the dams. So over a period of time, as a natural process, in several rivers, there's a lot of silt accumulation that happens. And if the rivers are not desilted, then you will find that the amount of water that the rivers can hold will get reduced. So obviously, it will start overflowing into the nearby settlements. So it is a very serious issue. Dam mismanagement is a very big word. I would not like to call it that. But then I think overall we need to take a look at integrated management of human settlements and rural settlements and dam management, flood control. I think we are not looking at all these together. We are looking at each of these in isolation as individual entities. This is urban, this is rural, this is dam, and so on. There are different ministries operating, of course, but I think there is an integrated effort that is required. Because when you have too much of water being released, then certainly it has to go somewhere.
Okay, so we'll definitely look into these aspects as well, and what is it that needs to be done. But let me bring in Mr. Mathur here from the Central Water Commission to try and understand the correlation between floods and dam management. There indeed seems to be a very close relation between these two aspects. And as Dr. Rao is also pointing out, that in case of Kerala as well, there seems to be something which has gone wrong. So how can we pinpoint the faults and try and find a solution to that?
First of all, we should understand this Kerala floods in terms of meteorological event. There was one spell of heavy rainfall on 8th August. It was recorded in one particular station to be of 400 mm. That means 40 centimeter, more than 1 feet. It is some 14 inch or 15 inch of the rainfall. So at that time, that rain was welcome, because Kerala had been facing the deficit of rainfall for last 3-4 years, and that rainfall was considered as a boon, and it was stored in the dams also. Then another spell of the rain came on, which was recorded on 15th August, and that 15th August event was a widespread event. It was covering almost 13 of the 14 districts of Kerala. There was only one district which is not receiving that much rainfall. Rest of the rainfalls are of the order of 200 mm, 300 mm, 400 mm, and they are continuously for 3 days. It's just not one single event that that has happened. It has gone to for 3-4 days. So it is one of the rare event. As you had already said that in 1924 we had seen this much type of thing. I can say that it is a 2% chance rainfall, around 50 years rainfall or so, which has happened. Definitely a dam cannot hold the entire amount of this rainfall in its belly. So once the rainfall was received, I don't have figures when they started releasing and when they should have started releasing, but definitely they had to release, and probably in the hindsight we can improve the rules of release, maybe better. But dams or no dams, this flood would have been catastrophic anyway.
Okay. But dams looks like, you know, the management of dams has contributed
Might have
a bit.
contributed a bit.
Okay, let's bring in Mr. Negi, somebody who is involved with the management of dams itself, since we've been talking about how the dams have to be managed. Mr. Negi, if we look at the present situation as well as the past instances as well, wherein almost 36 dams have failed in the past also, there must be some rules and some procedures through which the management of dams is governed. You know, this much amount of water, after this it will be released and all that. Obviously, this amount of rainfall was not expected in terms of Kerala, but have we followed the rules properly over the years?
Yeah, it's true, Vishalji. I must say, dam management is a system. Unless until we don't have the system, it's very difficult to cope up with the issues of the dam cycles and all managements and flood control as well. There is a system for dam management. There is a levels in the dam which indicates the danger part of it. The moment we do have gauge and sites all together in the upstream, say 200 kilometer upstream, in between 100 kilometer, then 50 kilometer. If you think some disaster is coming, say flash flood is coming, some flood has exploded from say Parchu. Say somewhere in 2003, the Parchu burst. Water came along the Satluj river and we have faced those issues in the dam management. What we did, we have calculated a time factor, what the water from the Parchu to Satluj dam, it will take 2.5 hours. We managed, we depleted the water of the dam up to minimum drawdown level. That indicates we can accumulate more water in the dam.
Okay.
That way we are managing the system. Besides that, we have opened the sluice gate. There are 5 sluice gates. There is discharges of 1000 cubics per second, and we are taking all the sluices by seeing the capacity of the flood. That way we are managing the flood as well as dam management, safety of the dam. And beside that, every year what we used to do is, there is a dam safety organization in Nasik in Maharashtra, and we are getting certified from the dam. They check our dams in the safety part of it, and we follow all the rules and regulations of the dam management system of Nagpur as well.
Okay, let's also take in Professor Arun Kansal, Dean of Terry School of Advanced Studies. Professor Kansal, we are discussing the correlation between floods and dam management. From your experience as well as the way you see it, the situation in Kerala, which is the latest one, and the past incidents as well. One, is there a strong correlation between the two? And the second one is that how can we pinpoint the problem areas here?
So here actually dams are there to control floods, but at the same time dams are also responsible for increasing the frequency of floods. So if you look at in any region, if the total amount of rainfall happens, part of the rainfall water is infiltrated into the ground. A major part of it is uptaken by the plants, and remaining part flows as a surface runoff. So what happens that by creating a very large reservoir and dam, we have actually increased the surface runoff by removing the plant and entire grasslands which are there. So the velocity of water and along with the silt which comes toward the dam increases at a very fast rate. So broadly speaking, in a normal course, dam is able to regulate excess flows as well as deficit in flows and regulate the kind of a water situation. But extreme meteorological events are the one where the dams certainly, in fact, amplify the situation more severely. So I would say that in the absence of dam, minor fluctuations, dam are the best regulators. But extreme events, in fact, the situation get amplified because of the presence of dam. So this is exactly what has happened in Kerala, that to store the water for the entire year, of course, we allow the levels to reach up to 90% or so, which is a good situation to take care of this in the drought season. But extreme event, of course, it has resulted into the large flow of water out of the dam. And at the same time, because of the increase in the built-up area, mining and Western Ghats entire depletion of the forest cover has amplified the runoff flow of water towards its outlet. So this is my take on the dam, that they are regulators of water in terms of minor fluctuations, but of course amplify when there is an extreme event.
Okay, so the problem gets amplified when there is extreme weather condition. Let me bring in again Mr. N.K. Mathur from the Central Water Commission. Recently, Mr. Mathur, there was a cabinet decision wherein Dam Safety Bill 2018 was approved to be introduced in the Parliament, and it clearly detailed the entire infrastructural system which is to be put in place with the National Committee on Dam Safety to be constituted and to go ahead and form the policies therein to ensure that the dam management is regulated through those policies. So one, how this bill can go ahead and ensure that the institutional mechanism which is to be put in place can be put in place there, and also what is it that is lacking right now?
This country has been aware of the dam safety issues right from the 80s. In fact, there was as you said, there were some 36 of the disasters, and one of them was Morvi in 70s. So from 1980 onwards, we were aware of the dam safety issues, and we started framing the various institutions of dam safety. All these institutions which are prescribed in NCD in this dam safety bill are already existing. We are only giving them the legal backing, which is at present not there, because dam owners are mostly state governments, and the state governments say that we will deal with it on our own. So we are giving them the responsibilities which they are already discharging.
So this is to ensure that uniform
policy comes up, and it is followed in a responsible manner. Okay. So dam safety bill is only to give the legal platform to these policies. NCDS is already existing. NCDS has done its, I think, 36 or 37 meetings where we have been disseminating our knowledge and advising them how to regulate the dams and all those. But the recent flood is not the direct relation to dam safety, etc. Because dam safety is a peacetime exercise. Either a dam is assured for safety, or it has got some issues and we deal with it. The current flood situation might have some relationship with the operation of the dam. So in dam safety bill, we are also emphasizing on having a robust mechanism of operation manuals of all the reservoirs. We are encouraging. Many of the dams have got some operational manuals, a robust mechanism of rule curves, etc. Many of them are going on with the experiences, and they can be codified and put in the public domain, so that people may know this is the way how the reservoir will be operated.
So you're saying that lack of uniform policies might be one of the reasons, and that is why this particular bill has been brought into public domain. Let's bring in Mr. Negi here. Mr. Negi, in terms of what exactly might be lacking, because this bill, as Mr. Mathu was pointing out, looks at the entire broader aspect of dam safety, and obviously it looks at ensuring efficient operationalization as well. But then where exactly we might be lacking as far as efficient operationalization is concerned, which has a lot of role to play when it comes to the correlation between floods and dam management?
Well, Mr. Vishal, it is a system. Unless and until we don't have the manuals to operate the dam system, we cannot stand anywhere. If there is system failure, manual failure, operational failure, then manual stands failed. Then since beginning, the dam being constructed as per the design parameters, and accordingly subsequently it has been regulated. As per the manual, every employee and officer has been directed to regulate the system as per the manual guidelines, so that failure may not occur. Maybe negligence due to the human error only. Otherwise, system doesn't get failed. It's a human error.
So uniform policies, as Mr. Mathur is pointing.
The policy is okay. We are running with the policies only since beginning only. So far my system is flood. If there is a flood, there is a lot of ways to control that. Say HOTA system, say mic system, WhatsApp system, village public meeting system, and all the pradhans are collated if there is a flood. They have been informed accordingly. This information boards are displayed all along the roads at danger points. They are being informed accordingly. So far my knowledge goes, for better efficiency, we should have a proper manual to run the system.
Okay.
Failure doesn't occur. This is a challenge from my side.
Okay, wonderful. A proper management into system, proper manual into place. Let's bring in Dr. Rao again here. Dr. Rao, one of the major reasons, and I pointed it out in the initial remarks as well, to have dams is it's directly related to the economic growth as well as growth in terms of agriculture sector and several rural areas as well. How would you look at it in terms of as a town planner? What is the significance of erecting or building dams, one, and two? How do they correlate to the growth? And as Professor Kansal was also pointing out, that in terms of extreme weather, they will end up becoming harmful.
Yeah, I think the most important missing link in this entire thing is that we are looking at dams in isolation and human settlements in isolation. So I think unless and until we don't integrate both of them, where are the human settlements? And human settlements are growing sporadically. Particularly in Kerala, you have a very scattered kind of a settlement structure. So you have very small villages, very small scattered settlements here and there, and then you have the dams, of course. So you do have manuals as to when to release the water, how much water to be released, and so on and so forth. But then which are those safe areas, which are those unsafe areas, where you should build, where you should not build, and so on and so forth. Are these exercises really being undertaken? I doubt. So people own a piece of land and then they just go and build. There is a very weak degree of implementation there, particularly in Kerala, because large tracts of land in Kerala are actually below sea level. So flooding is a very serious problem even otherwise, because it is below sea level. So I think unless and until we integrate the settlement planning, town and country planning, village planning, and dam water management, unless and until these two are not seen in coordination with each other, you will continue to see these kind of problems, because settlements will come and you can't overnight shift people.
Okay, Mr. Mathur, how do you look at this aspect which Dr. Rao has pointed? That this correlation between the dam management and building of dams as well as the town planning as well. How do you correlate that and ensure that this is taken care of rather than looking at each aspect in isolation?
In fact, I would supplement him by saying that because of lower intensity floods being absorbed in the dam, people have got a tendency to settle nearer to the river, maybe inside the river also. And then when the actual larger flood event comes, then there is more devastation just because of that encroachment. Had there been the frequent flushings, then maybe people might not have settled at the places where they got a false security because the flood events got absorbed.
Okay.
And second thing is that even then we can have a prudent dam management if we have got a robust system of information of coming of the inflows and what is the downstream conditions of the river or reservoir, what are the levels and there, and then we can stagger the dam release in such a way that it can be less devastating. For that, we need a lot of informations.
Okay. Mr. Negi, do you concur with Mr. Mathur and
I
Mr. Rao?
definitely concur with them. Until we don't have the proper regulation, thing cannot survive. If the regulation is proper, nothing can happen. It will be safe altogether.
Okay, so again, it comes back to regulation. But as Mr. Mathur and Mr. Rao is pointing out, that we can't look at dam management itself in isolation, as Dr. Rao is pointing out as well. We will have to look at the correlation between the dam management, the dam safety aspect, as well as the habitation process and the entire town planning as well.
We had been taking care in the Himalayan region. Like in Nathpa Jakaris, even we are in the Cascade, we are constructing 3 more projects, Lori 1, Lori 2 and Sunni Dam. I am looking after all these projects all together. And we are taking care of all those issues. If there is a downstream habitation is there, we are saying we are occupying those lands as well. And we are shifting to other places so that in long-term planning, so that problem may not arise in future also. Subsequently, we are managing accordingly also.
Okay, Dr. Rao, we're nearing the end of this show, but if you look at the short-term solutions and the long-term solutions, how do you, differentiate them?
See, I think in the short term, we already know which are the areas which are very highly damaged and which are the areas which are not so much damaged. So I think we know which are the hotspots. So I think we can start taking care and ensure that more settlements don't come up in those hotspots. And there are safer areas where I think we should encourage people to move into those areas. So and then also the river dredging is also another area where we can look at it, so that the rivers can carry more water than they are currently carrying, because I think sand mining is another issue there which will come in. But then we need to somehow strike a balance, and then some of the short term measures should be implemented straight away. And of course disaster relief, natural disaster relief is a very big operation. So that also needs to be brought in when these kind of unforeseen events happen. They don't happen every now and then, but we need to plan for them in advance. So we need to have that information in advance, and then we should simulate that in case this happens, then this is likely to happen. In case that happens, then that is likely to happen. So if you are in a position to simulate, then you can take the necessary precautions, because losing lives is something that you just can't afford. You can afford to lose property, but you can't afford to lose human lives.
Okay, so simulation exercises.
Absolutely, you need to start doing those.
Okay, let's bring in Mr. Mathur as well. Mr. Mathur, from the Central Water Commission's point of view as well, as Dr. Rao is pointing out, that there are short-term measures as there are long-term measures also, and it's not only about human lives. It's about situations like flood. They not only cause loss to the property or loss of lives, but also cause immense loss to the entire environment as well.
First thing is about the short-term and long-term solutions. So short-term and long-term solutions consist of mainly of the properly laid down protocols of the release from dams, and getting information about the inflows.
Okay.
But coming back to the Kerala floods, I will like to point out that this entire Kerala is a linear state, and all rivers are draining towards west, and it's in a very small length of the rivers. There is a drop of around 2000 meters. So the slope of these rivers are very high, and therefore the water, the speed with which water is coming to the various point is enormous. Therefore, the devastation, if and when happens, is a bit amplified than in the other area.
Then
second thing is that this phenomena had been a very extensive phenomena. It had covered all the 14 districts. There are some rivers which are dammed, and there are some rivers which are not dammed. But even then, the devastation has been spread along around 13 districts of the Kerala. Therefore, releases from dam has only been limited to some areas, but not the entire Kerala.
Okay, Mr. Negi, concluding comments from you.
Yeah, from my side is it should be short-term planning should be binding and time-bound. So long-term plan can be handled easily. So far the bindings on the short-term may be immediately attended, and subsequently hydropowers to be dealt in tandem. If there is a cascade, project lying in cascades, so we need to understand the culture of both the projects so that we have the good control on the floods and the operation units also.
Okay.
So with this, I would conclude that this floods comes during the monsoon only, and everybody knows that the flood management is within for 2 to 3 months only.
Okay, so we need to be better prepared.
Rest of the year, it is a safe landing, and within these 2-3 months, the study must be proper all along the river, so that if anything comes, it happens. Should be the knowledge of every these power producers.
Okay, so clearly, as our panelists are pointing out, that while the people in Kerala are trying their level best to bring back their life on the track after that devastating flood, it's time that we learn our lessons and not look at all these issues in isolation, but also understand the correlation between the issue of dam management, dam safety and floods, and also make advanced preparations for any untoward incident. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.